Have you ever worked on a Robert Rodriguez movie? Has Robert Rodriguez been an influence in your filmmaking career?
I haven't had that privilege of being on set with him. I wish I could. He is a big influence, especially as an indie filmmaker. The way he started, the way he preaches, the way he kind of tells everybody, he's like, dude, you want to be a filmmaker? Do it.
He's
You
very
know, yeah,
inspiring,
he
huh?
is. I mean, he every time he talks, he's passionate. He's just
He's like one of the most inspiring people that I've ever had the privilege to listen, or even and it's also it comes off in his book too.
yeah.
If you read his book, The Rebel Without a Crew, which that was the first book I ever read, and it was like I had already been making movies for a couple years, like
Yeah.
figuring it out on my own, right?
Mm.
Then when I read the book, I was like, oh, like I felt like we are like two birds of a feather. Like we think the same. We obviously don't have the same success
Yeah.
and not on the same level of talent. But as far as like the way we think, I think it's a lot of similarities. I felt when I read the book.
Mm.
Obviously, he's light years ahead of me
Yeah.
then and still today. And so, for you, what was it like? Have you read the book Rebel Without a Crew?
No. No, I'm not even gonna lie to you.
You should. You should read it.
I've
Even today,
yeah.
it holds. I mean, it's a good read, and like I said, when you read the book, you get that this inspiration, and when you hear him speak, man, it's the same. So he's just one of those people. He's gifted in that way of inspiring people. Maybe for him is a curse, right? Have so many people want to work with him, and
Yeah.
people want him to
Everybody's
give a
biting off on
hand
him
up.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Yep. And I think when I was watching what was that one TV show he just produced,
Rebel Without a Crew.
Rebel Without the Crew. There you go. When there was a lot of the behind the scenes and the way he talked to all the guys. And this is something that you were touching on, that everybody wants to work with him. Everybody wants that little bit of Rodriguez kind
Little
of
piece,
shine,
a
you
little
know, a
piece
little
of
piece
him.
of him, you know what I mean? And everybody wants that hand up. I don't think they want the hand up. I think they want the hand out. Because if it was a hand up, a lot more people would be successful. Only because he doesn't, from everything that I've seen and all the interviews and everything, he's never came across like, oh, dude, I'm not going to help those who aren't trying to help themselves. You know what I mean? And it was one of those like that's.
Well,
I
then
think
that
to me
would be
that's inspiring because yeah, he's very modest, and he doesn't seem like he's ever gonna like turn down a fellow filmmaker who's got something, you know. Especially like for example, this film has a very powerful meaning.
message, very
With
powerful message.
message, there you go, very powerful message with everything that's going on behind the scenes, and I can't say too much because I don't want to spoil a lot of it, but with the people involved, with the way it's going, I think at the end of the day, if we were to come across him, let's just say if we were to come across him and be like, hey, sir, you know, would you mind taking a look at it and giving us feedback and being part of it? Because it's such an awesome project, I don't think he would be like, man, you know what, I don't have time for you. You know, I don't think he's that type of filmmaker. And only because he loves what he does. He loves the process of it. He loves, you know, working with people, you know, just molding and kind of putting the idea out rather than making millions. Otherwise, I mean, he wouldn't be where he's made millions, but I don't think he makes movies to make money. I think he makes movies because he wants to tell a story. And so that's the thing where the difference is and where I think we would definitely kind of work well together. Especially if, again, we were to sit down and pitch the project to him. I'm more than sure he'd be like, "Oh, dude, yeah,
Well, that's a perfect segue into this portion of the podcast
yeah,
where you get an opportunity to look right into the camera.
yeah,
And let's say that you have an opportunity to pitch
yeah."
to Troublemaker Studio, Robert Rodriguez, this project. Why should they get behind this project? And it's an elevator pitch, right? So
Yeah, right.
you're going up to the
Pressure,
You're going
pressure,
up to
yeah.
the 13th floor that supposedly
Dang.
don't exist in
Yeah,
buildings, but
13th
that's where
floor.
we're going up today.
Man.
And let's give your best pitch. Look into the camera, high energy.
2 minute pitch, 2 minute pitch, man.
2 minutes. That's a long elevator ride.
Well, 13th floor. We got to make a couple of stops between here and the 13th floor. Oh man, dude, put me on the pressure. I didn't think you were gonna put me on the pressure like this.
That's how you get diamonds,
You know,
It's
right?
from pressure.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez. They asked me for a pitch, and I'm not gonna pitch. I'm rather gonna challenge you. And this is why I'm going to challenge you. You are an established filmmaker. You have your own production company. You've done awesome films that are entertaining. But On American Soil is not that movie. What this is a story about immigration. It's a story about family. It's about struggles. It's a story about people. And I want to challenge you to take a look at American Soil and embrace that. The culture, it's just something totally different. Step out of that realm. Come on board on American Soul and be part of it.
So now we have Michael Garcia joining us in this interview. Hi, Michael. How you doing? So why don't you tell me why you picked this guy to be the director of your film?
God, you know what? I don't know. I'm still debating about that. But I met David on one of his projects, Sacred Mask, right?
Yep.
I was in Sacred Mask. And during the process that I was working in that film, I started noticing his motives, his ways of directing, the keen eye that he has, and I like the vibe that me and him had because he actually allowed me and invited me to help him, shoot a few scenes, on his film. And me and him were about the same level. I mean, we're both first-based filmmakers. We've done a few projects. We have our under our belt, and I just felt that he has this potential rawness and becoming more than he can become a filmmaker. I like to, work with and incorporate people that are raw, that are brand new to the field, and it just gives me a more of a direction and a challenge to work with people that are, I don't want to say inexperienced, but in the midst of
yeah,
becoming and learning more of a filmmaker than they really are. So
And so how's this going to work? He's going to direct and he's going to try to accomplish your vision, or it's his vision to your script. How are you guys balancing that? Your second director?
yeah, I'll be second director, plus I'll be in the film. So I'll be more of a liaisons to him about the script. The direction and everything else that comes with it is going to be his job. I'm going to leave it up to him. What he sees on the camera, that's going to be all him. He understands that I'm a person, I'm very open in my writing. So if he feels that, I don't know about this, that'll work on the script, maybe we can tweak it or change it. I'm like, hey, if you think that brings more value and beefs up the script and the film even better with your vision, go for it. I'm just giving you the blueprint and the skeletal. After that, it's all him. I pretty much trust him because we're both on the same level of where we come from culture-wise. So he understands my kind of writing and the issues that I wrote about that's going on presently.
and I think that's one of the biggest things that I had to think about, especially because again, like we had talked about earlier, his vision or his initial concept of the film and where I'm going to end up taking it has to kind of a little bit be on where he thought of, and that's going to be the challenge, at least for me, because I have to kind of think within that realm, but at the same time keep it to me. You know what I mean? I have to still be how I see it, because eventually, I mean, it is his film writing wise, but as a director, we have to. It's my style, and that's one of the things that most directors we were talking about earlier with Robert Rodriguez. He's taken several other scripts, but yet he's spun it to where it's his. You know what I mean? And that's one of those things that we have to kind of live with each other about afterwards. We're either gonna still be friends after, and or he's gonna be like, dude, you know what? It's completely you're not what I thought it was gonna be. Sorry, buddy, but this is where we part ways, and
So what
that's
what
gonna,
happens when you come across a situation where you guys can't agree on something? Who has the last say?
technically the director has the last say.
Usually the director,
Yeah.
but with every production and productions that I worked in, I've seen the lack of communication that's been going on, and that's how people break ties.
Yeah.
But I believe even on his project, we had great communication. Even though I was one of the actors and still helping him some scenes, he would come to me sometimes say, "Hey, what do you think?" Or "You think this looks good?" or whatever. I would say, "Yeah, I mean, it looks good, but you might want to, back up or, change this a little bit." And he would invite, that idea. That's the pure communication that, every actor, director, or everybody in the whole crew should have to run a smooth production.
Especially a small one, because we're dependent on each other. We really are. As opposed to a big production, you could sit there and because everybody has a particular job, you can't go to everybody. But here, a small, intimate production, you could be all like, "Hey, look, I need some input because everything. I don't see everything always, but I do have a vision at the end of the day that I need it to be done. You know what I mean? Because it should be done this way because that's the way he wrote it. But at the same time, because he wrote it, now I have to step into his shoes and kind of be like, okay, well, this is the way it should be done. But at the same time, it's like we have to kind of tweak it a little bit. And being a small, intimate set, that's what's going to help out the fact that we all kind of are molding the actors and molding the whole production to where we see it to where it should be at the end of the day.
And seeing that's what I like about the rawness of not knowing how it's going to turn out, because that's where the magic comes in. Not knowing how the production is going to end, not knowing how his work is going to be compared to my vision. And I like tapping into that rawness because that's how you create an original film. But primarily is as long as you have good communication, there shouldn't be a problem at all.
So you guys do work. Do you have a job outside of filmmaking to support yourself, or are you guys full time filmmakers? Michael.
Uh, just recently, I've been without a job for about a year and a half, but I started working with Home Depot,
Okay.
which is going to come real handy on set designs and getting stuff for our production. But yeah, I part-time work with Home Depot, and all the funds that I have generates towards going towards the production. So I really don't see the paycheck, but the production will. Yeah.
I'm a full time. Well, yeah, I'm a full time filmmaker. Um, Go to school part time, and only because it keeps paying for me since I'm retired military. I actually get paid to go to school. The benefit of it.
Nice.
But other than that, yeah, just I want to dedicate, and this is one thing I've been dedicated to the last 2 years. It's pretty much full time filmmaking. You know.